Procrastination is an old habit, not exclusive to the digital age, with smartphones and the internet. Nowadays, the immense amount of information at our fingertips strengthens this negative tendency in our lives. We live in a time where it's incredibly easy to get lost in the mazes of procrastination. Putting off tasks, delaying what needs to be done, brings a series of problems. Anxiety, a drop in productivity, and a growing habit of avoiding responsibilities. We create excuses to feel less guilty for not fulfilling our duties. We postpone our dreams and goals, saying, "I'll do it later." And without realizing it, days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and even years pass without taking the first step. Many times, we use excuses to justify our failures, but in reality, there is rarely a genuine reason for it. Throughout history, we see examples of people who have overcome procrastination. The Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius were especially attentive to this challenge, given the numerous responsibilities they assumed. In this video, we will explore 10 crucial points to think and act on in overcoming procrastination. These are truths that we need to confront if we want to eliminate this evil from our lives. If you are new here, I invite you to contribute to the dissemination of this mental clarity and Stoic philosophy. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave your comment. Your stories and achievements in the comments are inspiring and bring joy. Let's talk about identity. Have you ever noticed how we usually seek changes when the results don't meet our expectations? When we don't achieve what we hoped for, we look for techniques and solutions to act. However, we often forget that true transformation begins at a deeper level, our own identity. Focusing only on external actions is a mistake. For genuine transformation, it is essential to dive deeper, redefining how we see ourselves. Understanding why our brain resists actions that contradict our pre-established identity is the first step to real change. For example, if you see yourself as someone who has failed, this will directly influence your actions. Your brain will resist activities that could lead to success because it contradicts the notion that you are a failure. The Stoics practiced visualizing their ideal selves. By focusing on the person they want to become, they presented compelling arguments to the brain to adopt this new identity. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, expressed a powerful thought. If when you wake up in the morning you feel reluctance and indolence, remember this thought: I rise to resume my work as a man. He was certain of his identity as an emperor and Stoic philosopher. This helped him resist temptations and pleasures, always reminding himself of who he was and why he acted in such a way. As emperor and Stoic philosopher, Marcus Aurelius developed habits that helped him overcome laziness and procrastination. These habits reaffirmed his identity. With the same amount of time available to you and me, he fulfilled his responsibilities, led a vast empire, wrote, and took care of his family. He knew that identity is shaped by repeated behaviors over time. The more you practice a behavior, the more evidence you provide to your brain, solidifying the identity associated with that pattern. If you are determined to change and become the best version of yourself, adopt habits that reinforce this new identity. Imagine yourself achieving your goals. This not only shapes your identity but also establishes a solid foundation for lasting success. In summary, redefine your identity and adopt habits that strengthen this decision, acting towards real change in your life. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what needs to be done. Win the internal battle first. When we look deeper into procrastination, we realize that it goes beyond simple momentary laziness. It's a form of self-sabotage. It's a way to avoid dealing with personal growth and the emotions and discomforts that progress brings. Overcoming procrastination is fighting an internal war, not an external one. When we procrastinate, we surrender to inertia and our internal flaws. We are, in fact, being dominated by our instincts. By overcoming procrastination, we strive to reach our true potential as human beings, seeking the true essence of our being. Procrastination acts as an internal enemy, subtle and deceptive, disguising itself through doubts and insecurities, always convincing us to leave for tomorrow what could be done today. A classic example is when we prioritize the urgent over the important. Imagine you decide to save money for the future. However, an irresistible promotion arises, and without realizing it, you spend time and money on unnecessary things. Or when we seek quality time with family, but social media distracts us with notifications and urgent messages. By responding immediately, we miss the opportunity to connect with those who truly matter. Procrastination is internal resistance, more challenging than any external obstacle. Overcoming inertia, the mind's excuses, the "I'll start tomorrow," becomes the real battle. As Epictetus reminded us, we must fulfill our roles, the roles we were destined or chose in life, and strive to fulfill them with excellence and meaning. This resistance distorts our essence, limiting our potential and making us less than we could really be. Each person is unique and unrepeatable. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, when someone dies, it's as if a unique and unrepeatable being ceases to communicate. We all have a unique message to share with the world, and that message can only be delivered by us. If we fail to do what we came to do, something important will remain unsaid, a word will not be heard, and dreams will be lost. Each of us has a valuable contribution to offer to the world when we live according to our nature. Resistance is always you sabotaging your own dreams. When you think about doing something and start making excuses like, "I'll see tomorrow, today I need to do such and such, it's not the right time yet, I'll prepare better and then I'll start. The idea is great, but now I can't start." You are facing procrastination. Procrastination is a barrier that prevents us from moving towards our goals and self-development. Confronting it is essential to achieve a more fulfilled and meaningful life. And our greatest weapon against it is self-awareness and self-discipline. Be prepared for external resistance. Every significant change in your life that implies growth will bring difficulties and resistance. Conversely, when we choose not to do anything new and remain in our comfort zone, we usually don't face resistance. Think about the times you spent the weekend watching movies, series, and ordering food. I've done it, you probably have too, and all of it with zero level of difficulty. However, if you are striving to overcome internal or external challenges, improve your relationships, postpone immediate rewards, be patient, control anger, learn to be consistent, and develop your self-discipline. In other words, do things that make you a better person. Be prepared to face significant obstacles. To grow, we all face challenges. To regress or remain complacent, we don't. When we start pursuing our dreams, it's common to encounter resistance, often coming from those closest to us. They may not know it, but unconsciously they may be trying to sabotage us. Because when we act and progress under the same conditions as others, we highlight how much we are advancing compared to those who choose to stand still. This exposes everyone's mediocrity. As the expression goes, the crab's greatest sin is jumping on the edge of the bucket. Usually, when a crab tries to escape from the bucket, the others pull it back down. This metaphor illustrates how when someone tries to progress or stand out, people may act to hinder, whether out of envy, resistance to change, or simply out of conformity habit. It's acceptable to stay in the bucket, but by jumping on the edge, you reveal that others are resigned to mediocrity. Often not having results is more acceptable than starting to act and gradually progress. So recognize this dynamic and don't let yourself be overcome by mediocrity or social pressure. Keep your motivation and keep moving forward. The best thing you can do for people is to progress and set an example that it is possible. Some will surely be inspired by you and start to act too. Set your mini goals. We often think that to make big changes in our lives, we need to take equally big actions, as if it were necessary to completely turn our lives upside down, and the weight of that causes us to procrastinate. However, the story of British cycling shows that this is not necessary. In 2003, the British cycling team faced a long period of disappointing results. It had been 100 years since they won the Tour de France, one of the most prestigious tournaments among cyclists, in addition to underperforming in World Championships and Olympics. When Dave Brailsford was hired as coach, he adopted an innovative approach. He focused on small, smart improvements, refining every aspect of the team by just 1%. These improvements, although they seemed minimal, the result was a golden era for British cycling, with achievements previously unimaginable. The great lesson is that while giant and unrealistic goals may seem unattainable, setting small goals makes action more accessible and confident. For example, if you want to change your routine and schedule, instead of setting the alarm to ring repeatedly, set a specific time to wake up and commit to getting up immediately. Putting your phone away from the bed is already a victorious step. Although challenging, the most you will lose is a bit of comfort, but in return, you will gain control over your actions. Apply small improvements in all areas of your life. Start, for example, by reducing the amount of sugar in your coffee or reading a few pages of a book daily. These actions, over a month, will result in significant changes. Our small actions may seem insignificant alone, but combined, they lead to much greater success than we imagine. Self-discipline is crucial in this process, acting as a plan that keeps you focused on your goals, even in the absence of constant motivation. Instead of being guided solely by what you feel at the moment, self-discipline allows you to think logically and focus on results. By setting and completing tasks within deadlines, you not only improve your ability to accomplish tasks, but also increase your confidence. This confidence acts as a booster to achieve even bigger goals. Be professional, not amateur. Marcus Aurelius advises us, work like a Roman, focus on what is in front of you, and do it with serenity, goodwill, tenderness, and justice. The idea of amateurism has a dual meaning. On one hand, it represents the hobby, something done out of love, without concern for financial return. On the other hand, a poorly executed or half-hearted job is often classified as amateur. When we procrastinate, we act like amateurs, without real commitment. A professional, in contrast, meets deadlines, honors commitments, and maintains the quality of work. Imagine acting like an amateur at work, arriving late, missing deadlines, absent without reason. Acting like this, you would quickly be fired. If you treat your personal projects as secondary, this will not bring the necessary drive to stay committed and consistent. Think about the things you postpone in life. Are you acting like a professional, seriously and committedly, or like an amateur, only doing something when there's spare time? Just as a worker dedicates themselves to work daily with responsibility, a professional should act with the same level of commitment in all areas of life. No one has achieved anything significant in history by only acting occasionally. Excellence is built with continuous practice and self-discipline. As Epictetus said, nothing great is created suddenly. Face your projects and dreams like a professional and maintain the same level of commitment to your personal progress as you do at work. Escape the network of distractions, which often replaces our personal fulfillment. Instead of facing difficulties and insecurities, we often choose to flee to a universe filled with distractions, bribes, and emotional vices. The culture of consumption encourages us to overindulge in all areas of our lives, whether it's excessive entertainment, the use of substances like drugs, alcohol and cigarettes, medications, food, compulsive shopping, pornography, among others. We are surrounded by escape routes to avoid facing our reality and fleeing from ourselves. How many times have you set out to study and ended up spending hours on your phone, watching videos and reading meaningless comments? Or how many times have you turned to food to deal with emotions instead of truly understanding what you were feeling? And how many times have you felt frustrated and tired of life and resorted to self-medication? Seneca observed that despite becoming experts in various areas, we often avoid looking inward. This video doesn't just offer superficial techniques to temporarily bypass distractions. It highlights fundamental truths that we need to understand to prioritize what truly matters in our lives and develop the moral strength to resist distractions. Epictetus reminds us that everyone can develop moral strength if they are willing to learn. Commit to avoiding distractions and take responsibility for your actions, including not doing, without blaming circumstances, the environment, or the people around you. When we blame others, we put ourselves in the position of victims, but at the same time, we lose the power to self-assess and change. Looking at the example of Marcus Aurelius, who turned his responsibilities into an essential routine, we realize how developing solid habits can overcome procrastination. All Stoics, as well as Aristotle, understood that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. Love your fate. The Stoics coined the term cosmopolitan because they considered themselves citizens of the world, understanding the totality of our existence. Sometimes we close ourselves off to our own reality and forget about the experiences of other people around the world. Think, for example, of women born under regimes like the Taliban, facing severe punishments just for wanting to learn and attend school. Malala Yousafzai is an inspiring example. A Pakistani activist, Nobel Peace Prize winner in 2014, shot for fighting for girls' right to education. There are also men who are born in conflict regions and are recruited in childhood. Sometimes we procrastinate because we have the option to do so, while other people around the world do not have that freedom. When you wake up in the morning, think of the precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, said Marcus Aurelius. We don't choose where we are born, but we can choose to have a more positive perspective and a deeper appreciation for our lives. By recognizing the world as a whole, like the Stoics, we can realize how privileged we are to have freedom of choice. The weight of indecision is a common manifestation of the fear of failure. When we don't act due to indecision, overthinking, or wanting to do everything at once, we end up consumed and paralyzed by doubt, resulting in inaction. And doing nothing is also a choice, even if unconscious. Limit your decision-making to a few options and start training your decision-making power in the small tasks of everyday life. This way, your indecision will begin to lose its strength. The weight of indecision doesn't just act at the moment of decision-making, but also afterward, with a silent voice reminding you of what could have been done differently. It's looking back and observing our mistakes that we learn to improve, but indecision doesn't allow that, bringing circular thoughts about the what-if that trap you in a web of regret without progress. Replace those thoughts. In sales language, when a direct sale is well executed and the customer can't go back, we say we closed the sale, meaning we've shut all objection doors. Similarly, tie up your decisions. There's a story that illustrates how hesitation, doubt, and lack of self-confidence can limit human potential. If we were more secure and determined in our pursuit of growth, we could reach much higher heights than those allowed by nature. Start. Take the first step. We're all familiar with those promises we make to ourselves. Once I finish my course, I'll start investing in myself, reading more, taking care of my health. Or, as soon as I finish this pack of cigarettes, I plan to quit smoking. And yet, this week, I'll eat everything I like. Next week, I'll start the diet. These are common thoughts, deceiving us and justifying our actions. We often make promises of change, expecting to feel ready or in the final farewell of our bad habits. But even before we take the first step, we lose interest and the necessary motivation. In reality, they're just empty excuses to continue avoiding action. The advice is clear. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. If we keep waiting for the ideal day to start something, we'll never start anything. That's our main self-deception. The more we postpone an unpleasant task or shirk responsibilities, the lower our ability and self-confidence to bring about change. Start by changing your perspective on your tasks or responsibilities. If you see them as insurmountable, your goals will seem much harder than they really are, causing immediate rejection. See your responsibilities for what they really are and take the first step. Starting might be the hardest, but it's always the highest step. Once overcome, the other steps will be natural consequences of your journey. Think about what you're missing out on. How much better would your life be if you could overcome procrastination? We always think about what we lose or the high price we pay for indulging our whims, vices, and impulses. But I invite you to reflect on what you're missing out on. By getting into credit card debt, you're not just losing financial control. You're missing out on acquiring discipline and financial education, and thereby not creating new opportunities in your life. Procrastinating a personal project isn't just delaying a dream, but it's failing to achieve a life with more self-confidence and freedom. When you procrastinate and delay a project at work, you're not just losing credibility, you're missing out on professional development, expanding your network, and increasing your job satisfaction. Procrastination as a recurring habit accumulates a potential loss in everything we fail to accomplish. Every time we decide to procrastinate or give up, we're giving up a part of our future, missing the opportunity to experience something that will never become reality. A piece of your future ceases to exist every time you procrastinate. We'll only act and start doing if we do it despite what happens in our lives. And that depends solely on you. Dreams cannot be achieved with the willpower of others. Either you have the strength to do it, or it won't happen. Dreams are not realized with borrowed energy. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a like on this video. I want to thank you once again for being here. Share in the comments how you overcome procrastination and if this video resonated with you. Thanks for watching. See you soon.